So the biggest question I have when buying a smartphone in 2025 is, should I wait and get the latest model, or should I buy last year's version and save some money? And this is the Xiaomi 14T Pro. It came out in September 2024, which makes it about 10 months old, but the specs are still impressive in 2025. And you can save over £200, about $300 when buying this today from the original price. So let's start by taking a look at the design and the display. So the display has a 6.67-inch flat crystal res AMOLED. It has 446 pixels per inch, HDR10, Adobe Vision, 4000 nits of peak brightness, with a 144 Hz refresh rate. It has thin bezels that are balanced all the way round. The volume button and power button are on the right hand side, and the power button is textured. The back glass is slightly curved, and it has an IP68 water and dust resistance rating. The camera bump also does protrude quite a bit, and it supports 3 cameras and 1 LED light. So going through all the stats of the display, you can tell that this is absolutely stunning, and there's nothing you're missing out on buying this from a 2025 flagship. But what about the performance? So this comes with the Dimensity 9300 Plus chip. It has a respectable Geekbench score, especially for single core, but definitely for multi-core, which means it can handle pretty much any app and any game, even at higher settings. I personally have been playing Call of Duty and it's been absolutely fine, no issues, no lag, and especially with that 144 Hz refresh rate screen, it's been an absolute delight to play. This phone also comes with 3 different storage options: 256GB, 512GB and 1TB. And it's also interesting to note that the RAM will not change depending on what version of the storage you get. It's 12GB of RAM throughout all the different versions. You also get 6GB of extended storage RAM, which is kind of like fake RAM. So yeah, it just has 12GB of RAM. It comes with Hyper OS, which is running Android 14, but you can upgrade it to Android 15 right now because they promise 4 years or 4 versions of software updates. So you have Android 14, 15, but they also will promise to do 16 and 17. And they also promise 5 years of security updates, so that'll take you all the way to 2028. Now, the Xiaomi HyperOS operating system is fairly decent. It's quick, it's clean, and it has lots of customizability, which I love. However, it does come with bloatware. Most of the apps you can delete, but not all of them. So when I first got this phone, booted it up, it came with Booking.com, LinkedIn, the Opera browser, and a few others, which was just really weird. It does also come with the whole entire suite of Google apps, but I actually use quite a lot of the Google apps, so it's not a massive deal, but it does come with like Google News, for instance, which I don't use. So a bunch of those you can delete. Some of them you can't, one of them being the App Mall, which is sort of like the Play Store, but it's Xiaomi's version of it, and you basically can get the exact same apps from both places. I definitely recommend getting it from the Play Store though, but if you did get any from the App Mall, they should be pretty much the same. What I will say though is I do get bombarded with notifications from the App Mall app to say to download or recommends me to download some different apps like Revolt, which is a mobile financing app. I keep getting notifications to download that, which I'll show you now, which is just really weird. And also it has sort of like recommended apps to download. So they're not already downloaded, but they appear as apps on my phone ready for me to download, which is also just really weird. But you can remove these, but like I said, it's just a lot of bloatware that you get from the start. So to go through and delete all of these, and with the apps that you can't delete, you can mute them from notifications, so you can just ignore them, but they will be on your phone forever, which is just slightly weird and slightly annoying, especially to see in 2024 with a flagship. I would imagine you see this a lot more with cheaper phones, but with the 1TB version brand new, that's like £800 or over $1,000. And to get bloatware on a phone that costs that much It's just weird. So the performance is actually really impressive and it can handle pretty much anything you want it to. It's only let down by that bloatware. But let's move on to something I think you guys will find really interesting, the cameras. So this camera comes with a 50 megapixel main shooter. It has a 50 megapixel telephoto lens which can zoom up to 2.6 times. It has a 12 megapixel ultra wide and also has a 32 megapixel front facing camera. You also can record with the main shooting camera 8K at 30 FPS. So last week I took the 14T Pro to Legoland. It was actually a really nice day, and as you can see from the example photos, it handled the exposure really well, the colors really well. Everything is in focus, really clear, really vibrant, and I love these images. I think a flagship phone over the last few years, especially in well-lit conditions, is just going to deliver a good shot. I think it's really hard to get it wrong when coming to a flagship phone when taking photos with the main lens. And this shows that in the videos and the photos that you're seeing on screen now. It handles it really well. It's really steady. It has, of course, optical stabilization. I think it does a really good job, especially when on some of the rides it can be a little bit bumpy, but you don't necessarily notice that in the videos. It handles the color balance pretty well. Not as good in the video, I would say, than the photos. There is obviously a little bit more AI magic happening with the photos to make it pop and choose those colors really well. But overall, I think you can't really go wrong with these photos. I tried to do a few more demanding photos in lower light and it still handled it pretty well. Now, I will show some other example photos in lower light, like in my bedroom for instance, with some images of giraffes, some little figurines of giraffes, and you can see that the detail isn't amazing. This is where you can sort of see that the cameras don't hold up as well to a very good camera. And this is its sort of Achilles heel, this is its weak point. In lower light shots or more demanding shots, it won't do as well. If you have a steady hand in a well lit environment, it's going to deliver a really good photo. In other scenarios, it might need a little bit more tweaking or some extra work to pull off a good shot. And that's just what you get with some of these cameras which are more mid-range sort of cameras, even on flagships. OnePlus has suffered from this from ages and ages and ages, where it just had a slightly weaker camera to some of the massive, more popular flagships on the market, which were the Pixels or the iPhones, which just delivered better photos in more scenarios. So if one of the biggest weaknesses with the 14T Pro is low light shots with the camera, one of its biggest strengths is definitely the battery. It has a 5000 mAh internal battery, which supports a full day of heavy use or a day and a half of moderate use. I personally end the day on about 30 to 40% each time, which is just insane. Also, it has incredibly fast charging. If you buy separately the 120 watt power brick that can charge this phone to its fullest capabilities, you can charge it in roughly about 25 minutes. Now, if it's a bit of a hotter day, this can change. I found with the heat wave in the UK, it took about 26-27 minutes, but if it was cooler, I do believe you could probably charge it to full in less than 25 minutes. It even has 50 watts of wireless charging, which means you can fully charge the phone wirelessly in around about 45 minutes. That's faster than some wired connections on some other smartphones. That's just insane. I can't stress enough how good the battery is on this phone. It is literally like magic how fast it charges and how long it lasts. I have a OnePlus 13 as my daily driver, and that has super fast charging as well. This is another level, it really is. It's just so quick, and like I mentioned, it still lasts the whole day as well. Incredible. Talking about some other really cool features, one of them, it has a heart rate scanner in the phone. If you go into the settings, you have to dig a little bit, but it has a heart rate scanner, which is just an interesting little feature just to mention. Also, let's talk about the speakers and the sound. So the sound isn't quite as loud as my OnePlus 13, but it is still pretty decent. So I'm going to play a song for you right now just so you can hear it yourself. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small.
Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Too many things going on, I can't keep track of them all. From people dropping.
Really clean audio, definitely up there quality wise with like the OnePlus 13 and other phones that I've had with like the iPhone 13 Pro. But it's just maybe not as quite loud as the OnePlus 13, but there is marginal. In general, the sound has been just really good for a smartphone. And finally, let's talk about cost, because that's the whole point of this video, is to find out how much you can save or what value for money you can get buying a phone a year later after its release. Now, what do you get in the box? You get a charging cable, and you get a case, and you get the phone. That's about it. Now, I actually bought a third-party power brick and cable which can charge 120 watts off Amazon, so it's a lot cheaper. It still has the same protocol as Xiaomi's bricks, so it will work. I have tested it and used it. It's worked absolutely fine, but it doesn't cost as much. So this cost me about £13, just under about $20. If you're interested, I'll link to the one that I've got down below in the description, so if you have a Xiaomi device and you want to fast charge it, this might work for you. So the price of the Xiaomi 14T Pro on release, the 1TB version that I have, was £799. So it's about just over $1,000. Now, if you wanted to get the 512GB version, that is around about £700, which is about $900. And then if you wanted to get the even smaller 256GB version, that is £650, $700 odd. Now, you can buy it from Xiaomi Direct for £559. That is a £240 saving, about $300 saving, which is just insane. And you can also get it on Amazon even cheaper. I found the 1TB version in blue like this, the exact same, for £489, which is about $600. So you can get free $400 worth of savings if you buy it on Amazon right now. Now the question is, a bit more personal for you, is do you think it's worth it buying a year-old phone or 10-month-old phone and saving $300 to $400 or £200 to £300 doing so? Or do you think for you personally it's still worth buying the newest flagship on the market? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you guys next time.